Have we moved from a seller's market to a buyer's market? What does that mean for you buyers who have made many offers on homes over the last couple of years, only to get beat out in a bidding war? We're going to talk about the market shift that occurred in June of this year, 2022, and what that means for you. The good news is that it's probably a good time to try again to buy a home. Be sure to stay to the end of this video where I'll be giving you 5 tips to buying a home in this new buyer's market right now. I've spoken with dozens of buyers in the last couple of years who were very frustrated with the market. Here they wanted to take advantage of the unrealistically low interest rates, which at the time were in the 3s, but they couldn't get their offers accepted. There are 3 components to a real estate market. Let's go over each of those. 1 is the inventory of homes, 2 is the interest rates, and 3 is the perception of buyers and sellers. Okay, let's look at what happened in the market since 2020 and where we are today. All right, the market, inventory. In May of 2019, there were over 7,000 listings on the market, and that is in all of Utah. However, in May of 2020, when COVID hit, that number dropped to less than 5,800 listings. Again, we're talking about Utah as a whole. Last year in 2021, that number dropped even more as we were recovering from the COVID shock. For example, listings in May of 2021 were only about 5,000. Let's look at 2022. The inventory continued to be low until about June of this year. And for those of you who are trying to buy a home during 2020, 2021, and the early part of 2022, you saw a mad scramble to place offers on very few homes. For example, I had a listing in 2021 in which I received 21 offers in a week. Now, the game plan at that time was to place an offer on a house as soon as it hit the market. In many cases, the home was under contract before the realtor could get a sign out on the front yard. Most successful offers had these 3 components. First, the offers were always over asking price. A portion of the earnest money usually went non-refundable very quickly, and there was always a willingness of the buyer to pay over the appraisal price. It was a great time for sellers, but a frustrating time for buyers. Now, I say it was a great time for sellers, but for the sellers who were trying to sell high and then buy a home, it was very frustrating because there were very few homes on the market to buy. So there's really no guarantee that they could sell their home and then actually buy a new one, in a short period of time and actually get their offer accepted. Let's jump to mid-June of 2022. So starting in the last part of May, the inventory homes in Utah skyrocketed from a low of 5,000 to almost 7,000. All of a sudden, it really did feel like the market changed in just a couple of weeks. There was an excessive inventory rather than a lack of inventory. I remember a very specific example. In early June, I had just sold a home on the east side of the valley, and a seller in the same area of that home wanted to meet with me to discuss selling their home. It was a very nice home, and the seller wanted to sell it at a price that would have sold it in an hour and a half in January. However, I had really started feeling the market shift, and I told them that I honestly felt I could not get them the price that they wanted as fast as they wanted to sell it. The seller wanted a commitment that I could sell it for close to what they wanted in 30 days, and I had to tell them that the market was declining and that they would be chasing the price downward at the price that they wanted to sell it for. The end result is that I decided not to pursue the listing, which is really, really hard for a realtor to do. And as of September, the home is still on the market, by the way. The home is very nice, but the inventory has grown so much that the prices are falling, and many realtors have had similar experiences with their clients. Let's look at interest rates. Okay, if we look back at 2021, the average 30-year interest rate was in the 2.5 to 3.4 range. Then we moved into 2022, the rates stayed about the same until March. Then they rose from around 3.5 up to 5.8 just in June. So in 3 months, they almost doubled. Added to that were the announcements that the inflation rate had risen from about 1.4% in January 2021 to almost 8.5% by June of 2022. On top of that, there was reports that we were officially in a recession. Now, many sellers came to the conclusion that if they were going to reap the equity growth benefits of the past couple of years, that they needed to sell now. They could see that the increase in interest rates was going to drive buyers away from the market. But they also wanted to get the same amount of money for their homes that their neighbors got in late 2021. So thousands of sellers came to the same conclusion, and the inventory grew tremendously in a very short period of time. All right, let's talk about buyer and seller perceptions. The perceptions of buyers and sellers also changed during that June timeframe. So before June, Sellers believed, and this was often true, that they could just stick a sign out in their front yard and sell their home in a week. Before June, many buyers were starting to give up because they were tired of placing offer after offer on a home and getting outbid. Also before June, cash buyers were king, but very few buyers now had the large amount of cash needed to bid for a home regardless of where the actual appraisal came in at. On top of this, the stock market was declining. Before, buyers would cash in their 401k or other investments, and then they would put that money down on a home, including bidding over the appraisal price. At that time, many buyers that I talked to told me that they were holding off and waiting for the bubble to burst or the market to crash, which it kind of did to a certain extent. Where are we today? I think we're in a new buyer's market. There are plenty of homes on the market. As of today, and I checked this morning, there are 5,400 active listings in just Salt Lake, Utah, and Davis counties alone. The prices are still high in many cases, but smart sellers are realizing that they have made a ton of money in the past several years, and they're now lowering their prices to get their home sold fast. Sellers are starting to understand that a market correction is taking place and that they will get more money today for their home than they will get in a month. On top of that, more sellers are starting to realize that they can sell their home for a lot more than they paid and are now finally able to buy another home without having to get into a bidding war. Interest rates are still in the 5 to 6% range, but that is the long-term normal interest rate. After all, my first home was 11%. Additionally, I've spoken with a couple of lenders who are telling me that they are starting to see buyers ask the sellers to help them pay their closing costs. Now, that hasn't happened in several years. So in my opinion, we're moving back to a normal market, and for a short while, it's going to be a buyer's market. Okay, here are 5 tips to buy a house in this new buyer's market. Number 1, don't get discouraged when looking at home prices for the kind of home that you want. They're higher today, but they will be coming down as sellers realize that they're asking far too much. Number 2, when you do a search for homes, set your price limit a little above what you want to spend. Chances are the prices will be lowered and you won't want to miss seeing that house. Number 3, make offers. The sellers will probably not take a lowball offer, but if you are lower than the asking price, but around what the realtor is recommending they lower their price to, they may take your offer rather than wait. Again, they don't want to chase the curve downward. Number 4, look at asking for help with closing costs, either to buy down their interest rate or just to put less money down. Many sellers will not lower their price, but they may help out with closing costs. Number 5, get out there now. The inventory is going to naturally start to decrease as we move toward Christmas. The next 3 months are going to be very good for the buyer. So everybody, check out my free buyer's guide below. Also be sure to watch my video on how to get a home loan approved. So thanks everybody. Please call me anytime with your real estate needs. I'm here to help you. See ya.